Point of order, Mr. Speaker. Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
A point of order, Trevor Mallard.
Mr. Speaker, I moved an amendment. I think it's your role now to put the amendment.
No. Well, question. Yeah, all right. The question is the amendment be agreed to. Dr. Wayne Mapp.
Mr. Speaker, can I say that amendment will not be agreed to? It is stupid and it is fatuous. Mr. Speaker, sometimes it is very clear where fault lies, where the jury, in this instance, the jury of public opinion, and more importantly, the jury of the people in the industry know where the fault lies. That is absolutely clear who the offenders are. This is one of those cases, and unfortunately Labor, due to their ideological binders, cannot see that fact. The fault here is the unions. One of the reasons I left was because of the unions, in fact. Mr. Speaker, in this instance, the unions were totally at fault. They caused this. They've caused the disruption. They've destroyed the certainty. We've had to act. Mr. Speaker, what's the evidence for that? It's pretty clear, I've got to say. Sir Peter Jackson was in no doubt. He said, first indication he gets on this, a global boycott of these two movies. No discussion, no negotiations, just the indication, a clear statement of a global boycott. Meetings up in Auckland run by Jennifer Leland. She kind of disappeared out of this pretty quick, I've got to say. And Roland Malcolm, a bit slower, I've got to say, to leave, organising this global boycott, orchestrated, in fact, by the Australian Union. So, Mr. Speaker, in that circumstance, the world had changed. No good to talk about the previous 5 years or the previous 10 years. The world had changed due to what, as Peter Jackson himself said, the triggering of the nuclear option. Do that and you change things fundamentally. And Vice President of the Labor Party branch, missed out on that too. So, Mr. Speaker, can I say that Labor fundamentally refuses to recognise it. If you destroy certainty, you destroy an industry, and that we came perilously close to in this particular instance. So we've had to fix that up, Mr. Speaker. Can I say this? Labor says, and I've heard a number of them say it today, they support the Hobbit. Well, at one level, I guess they do. At an emotional level, I guess they do. The question, theoretically, but are they willing to do anything practical? The key things you have to actually do to actually ensure that this movie comes to New Zealand. Well, no, they are not. So, in fact, they might say, in a theoretical sense, we support the film industry. In a practical sense, the $1 billion movies, not the $100 million movies, not the $50 movies, not, in fact, these little videos that have been just referred to on the big issues of the day. They will be judged by the public to actually be against the Hobbit, because they'll be against it because they haven't supported the key thing that actually matters in this instance. Mr. Speaker, I have read the judgment 3/6, and in the judgment the court said this. It was not open to the court to reach a decision that had general application to the film industry generally. So, Mr. Speaker, can I say this? Even though the court recognised that their decision would cause trouble for the industry, they had no choice under Labor's law, but to rule in the way they did. That's because the 2000 legislation required the courts to ignore what was written down in the documents and then follow other indicators, largely actually drawn from the Income Tax Act, as to whether or not there would be an independent contract or a dependent contract or an independent contract situation. The old law had the virtue of certainty. And the one thing that business absolutely requires is certainty, especially global businesses, and especially when the wreckers of the union movement have destroyed that certainty. So this government is about to restore certainty, one way or t'other. We've said to the people in the industry, you have a choice here. If you choose to be an independent contractor, then that is the choice that will bind you. That actually always used to be the law before 2000, recognised by the court itself. If you choose to be an employee, that will also bind you, and that has consequences as well. What I have to ask the party on the other side, the Labour Party, what is actually wrong with that? What is wrong with people actually having a clear choice? Independent contract on the one hand, employer on the other. What's wrong with that? Clear choice in effectively a situation where the contracts are of limited duration, not sort of permanent employment, if you will, but events-related situations where there's a clear ability to actually have that choice. Now, the global industry needed that certainty because of being disrupted. Who disrupted it? The unions. Did Labor complain about that? No, their instinctive position was to go and support the unions. Now, at one level I can understand that. They are dependent on union support. They are dependent on union support. But that is also going to destroy their reputation in the industry at the moment and destroy their capability to negotiate internationally. Mr. Speaker, can I say this? This government is clear on this. We are determined to grow the New Zealand economy. We are determined to do the things that will get innovation in New Zealand. This industry, in fact, Weta Digital itself, received $5.8 million by way of an innovation grant from Technology New Zealand to build its capability. That money would be down the drain if you listen to Labor, because the only relevance of that money is if the movies can be made in New Zealand. One thing has been clear from this week. We support growth in New Zealand. We support innovation in New Zealand. The other side, the Labour Party, they're going to go with their cloth-cut mates and they will be condemned for it.
Charles Chauvel.
Thank